All right, I am back for once again another recipe, and I decided to do this recipe because of the way that the world is today. Basically, this recipe states goes all the way back to the Depression in the 1930s to mid 1930s. Today we are making, and I still eat this today, believe it or not. We are making fried potatoes and hot dogs. Now, there might be a couple of ingredients that they didn't use back then that I'm using today because it's just the way I liked it over the years. But basically, what we have is I got 4 pounds of russet potatoes cut pretty much all the same size. You try to keep them so they cook evenly. I did not blanch these. These are going straight into the skillet just like this. So I have 4 pounds of russet potatoes. I have 1 pound of hot dogs, which these just happen to be Nathan's, just cut up in small pieces. I have some salt. I have some garlic. I have some onion, some red pepper flake for a little bit of heat, and some black pepper. Now, the recipe, how they used to make it a long time ago, was just potatoes, hot dogs, and onion. That was it. It was a very economical meal. You could get a whole sack of potatoes for $1, and people, that lived back then, if anybody's got any relatives living from the 1930s, they'll tell you that you used to get a sack of potatoes for $1, and they ate potatoes constantly because it was cheap. So hot dogs and potatoes was very, very cheap back in the day. Not so more today, right? Because it is what it is. The economy is absolutely terrible today. But that's what we're going to make today. I'm going to show you how to do this. It's a very simple meal. Not too much money to make it. Probably $3, $4 in potatoes. Probably another, I don't know, $5 in hot dogs or whatever. So the whole thing's going to get you like $10. I got an onion, a couple cloves of garlic, maybe 3-4 heads of cloves of garlic, and that's about it. So, all right, so we're going to spin behind me. I have a skillet with some vegetable oil on back here, and we'll show you how to do that. So let's spin around and we'll get going on this recipe. All right, so we're at the stove, and I have, I don't know, enough to cover the bottom of a skillet, of a 12-inch skillet. Get the oil hot, and just go easy in the beginning. Just throw a couple of potatoes in, just to see how it's going to react. It's pretty good. So what we're going to do is we're going to throw them all in. And we're just going to let these go for a little bit because, again, they are raw. I did not blanch these at all. I got it on a medium heat, medium to medium high, maybe. What we're going to do at this point is we're going to salt and pepper these and season these up a little bit. So we're going to add a little salt. And we're going to add a little black pepper. And this is all on how much you like. If you like it a little bit, you like black pepper, put a lot of black pepper in. So this is what we're going to do. We're going to let these simmer for probably about 10 minutes, and then we're going to put the hot dogs in and the onions in. The garlic doesn't go in till last, but I'll be back to show you guys exactly how I'm doing the rest of it. So about 10 minutes. I'm going to see how these potatoes are doing after that. I am going to put a lid on them for that 10 minutes, and I'll be back to take you on to the next step. Okay, so the potatoes have been cooking for about 10 minutes with a cover on it, so they're starting to soften up a little bit, which is exactly what they should be doing. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull some of these potatoes to the side, and I'm just going to caramelize the onions just for a few minutes, not too long. There's enough oil in there for to caramelize these onions up. And then once these get caramelized, I will put in the hot dogs. I'm just going to season season up the onions a little bit. And from now on, we're going to leave the lid off. We're not going to put the lid on anymore. This is just going to be what it is at this point. Okay, so we're going to caramelize those up for a few minutes, and then I'll be back and we'll show you the next step. Alright, so this is about all I'm going to do with the onions, because these onions are going to be in there for quite some time. So now we can just push everything together. And these potatoes will break down, so they're not going to stay exactly like you see them right now. If you need to put a little bit more oil in as the cooking process continues, you can definitely add a little bit more oil if you need it, if you see it that it's drying out a little bit, and it probably will because of the starch. So anyways, we're going to put the hot dogs in, and we're just going to mix this around, and you'll see how this eventually breaks down, so you won't have the potatoes looking like they do right now once we plate this. Now you can put a little parsley in this if you want to as well. It's totally up to you. And if you feel like you want to put a cover back on this, you can, just to heat the hot dogs through. But the main concern here is the potatoes. Once the potatoes are done, the meal's done. It's pretty much that simple. I will add a little bit more oil to this, and just to keep it a little bit moist. Get that through the bottom of the pan, and then we'll just let this sit. We'll let it cook for like another 10 minutes, and we'll see what happens. And we'll just push it around like this every now and then, just to get it all incorporated and all nice and hot. And the hot dogs will actually become a little brown too as well over the course of some time. So I'm going to cook this down, and I'll be back in a few minutes to let you know and to show you exactly what's going on. Actually, you can actually put the pepper flakes in now as well if you wanted to do that. It just adds a little heat to it. It's not really a huge deal. If you don't like the heat, leave it out. Remember, all these recipes are what you like. I'm just kind of showing you how to do it as I go along here. Okay, so we're going to let this sit, and I'll be back with you as soon as these potatoes start softening up, and then we'll add the garlic, maybe a little bit of parsley, and we'll plate this up. Alright, so this is the stage that it's at, and you can see how these potatoes have cooked down, and you know, this is where we're at right here. So what we're going to do is we're just going to mix this up a little bit, just like this. You can see all the color that it got as well. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're just going to turn around, and I'm just going to put a little bit of garlic in this. Now, I say this in all my videos, as soon as you see, or actually as soon as you smell the garlic, this is done. You don't want to beat up the garlic too much. So as soon as you start smelling that garlic, pull it, because it'll get bitter. And this is looking exactly how it's supposed to look. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw a lid on this. I'm going to throw a lid on this for about 5 minutes, and then that's going to be it. And then we're going to turn around and we're going to plate it. So I'll be back in just a couple of minutes. Alright, so we are there. This is it. This is done. This is exactly how it's supposed to, well, it's exactly how I cook it. This is how it's always been. This is how it's always looked. So we're going to take this over. How good does that look? I mean, seriously, it's just fried potatoes and hot dogs, but if you could smell this with the onions, the garlic, this smells fantastic. So I'm going to take this over, and I'm going to plate this, and yeah, that's it. This is done. So I'll see you when I plate it. Okay, so we got this off the stove, and now it's time to plate this up a little bit. There's probably enough for like 5 servings here. There's quite a bit here, and like I said, that was 4 pounds of potatoes, 1 pound of hot dogs. So there you go. Put a couple little hot dogs on top, just like that. All right, let's clean this up a little bit. All right, and if you want to, it's not necessary. They definitely didn't do this back in the Depression, but if you just want to just turn around and put a little bit of parsley on it, just for some color and presentation. This is how I make fried potatoes and hot dogs. If you guys like this recipe, make sure to put a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and share the video if you like it. Okay, I will see you in the next video. Have a great day, everyone.